Shopify's point of sale system helps you sell at every stage of your business. Need a fast and secure way to take payments in person? We've got you covered. How about card readers you can rely on anywhere you sell?
Thanks. Have a good one.
Yep, that too. Want one place to manage all your online and in-person sales? That's kind of our thing. Wherever you sell, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen. Shopify.com/listen.
Kind of like a, I think people like my because I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
I love to
you just see how games and possessions how they mean more. I'm not putting him on. I think the U.S. is going to obviously win.
Hello and welcome to Nothing But Respect. My name is Harry Krinsky. I am joined as always by Patrick Redford, and Derek Queen has been indicted on 5 counts of being the man. So we had to call in our lawyer, Ock Sportello, to get him out. He's very busy doing all the paperwork for the Nico Harrison firing. So he's been caught up in everything. But anyway, we are joined by Ock Sportello, the legendary blogger, the Oppenheimer of the vibe shift. The Oppenheimer of the aura debate. Ock, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Busy week for me in the legal world. If you listening to this have been refused service at a Starbucks for writing Nico Harrison on the cup, Ock Sportello, it's OCKSPORTELLO at gmail.com. We are forming a class action.
I like that. That's smart.
That's great. You were talking earlier about the 6'7" bandit and prison abolition. Can you just expand on your thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah. There's a lot of academic literature out there that has kind of settled on the notion that the question is not who is an unk, but how do we create a society in which the unk-nef distinction no longer applies. Mm-hmm. And so I think we can probably get into that later, when we start talking Pelicans, but there's a lot of fertile ground there for conversation.
Before we jump into the news of the day, and it's funny, we were going to do a kind of notebook dump, Ock Klosterman style episode where we bat around a bunch of topics, but then a few big things happen. Obviously the Nico Harrison firing and some other stuff, so we're going to start with that and then see where it goes. Before we get into all of that, though, we haven't been doing as much housekeeping since the start of the NBA season and our kind of meteoric rise. So if you are here because you're a bot that I've paid for, or if you like Liz Franzak, or many other reasons.
If you're related to any of us, this all applies to you. It extra applies to you, actually.
Yes, please rate and review us on all the Apple Podcasts. Go subscribe to Never Hungover while you're there, but also send it to your friends who like this kind of thing. We're all about kind of anti-mimetic, slow growth over there, over here. So go definitely do that. It really does actually help grow the show a lot, and all the support has been awesome, and people texting us and stuff. It really is it makes the show worth doing. And then actually a few other little housekeepings. Ock Sportello and myself are on a future episode of Macho Pod from friend of the show, Drew Millard. That is yet to come out, but it will be out soon. And if you like this kind of thing, I think you're going to like that episode. We talk a lot about the Brooklyn Nets in that episode, which we will also be talking about today. And then finally, Patrick, Only If You Get Caught, episode 3 is coming out soon.
A week from today, and that's the one about how Lance Armstrong's saga explains the trans sports panic. It's like our most sort of intellectually ambitious one. And it's coming out right before Thanksgiving. So speaking of unks, play that for your uncles, engage them, embrace debate.
Radicalize
I have
or
one
de-radicalize.
Exactly. I have one sort of lawyer question. Getting a lot of questions about is 5 stars the good one or is 1 star the good one? Ock, I sort of assume this is kind of a legal matter. Should we be telling people we want 1 star, that's number 1, or 5 is that the good one?
Well, the meta is to equally split 5 and 1 stars because people don't feel good. We live in polarized times and polarizing times, and people want to feel like there is a lack of consensus, right? So the real heads are going to see a show with the bell curve of 1 star and 5 star and think there's some meat on the bones here rather than it's just your dad rating and reviewing. So Dad, if you are listening to this, 1 star, just jot down a quick pen if you've got it. But yeah, it's kind of the worst you can get is 3.
You want your pod chart to look exactly like the Eddington letterbox.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Dime I Love critic versus fan score. It's exactly. That's how you know you're cooking with fire.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of fire, Nico Harrison was fired.
Good stuff.
That was great.
I mean, in a certain way, this was like, I don't know. Like we all just got this news 2 hours ago. So what Patrick, you first, what was your sort of like initial response to all of this?
Well, the first thing that is like funny about this is like, I think obviously Harrison has like done a bad job running the team. Like the Luka trade is extremely disastrous. Building the whole plane out of guys between 6'9" and 7 feet, and then being like last in the league in defensive rebounding is like extremely funny. But like, there's something to it, like firing your GM 11 games into the season as if he's the coach, as if that has any bearing on like the basketball being played. Like obviously the trade deadline is like a few months away, but it is very funny to think that like what ails this team is firing like the one guy who like it has nothing to do with the on-court product as it's like being played out this season.
No, that's totally right. But I also think that at least my reading is that there is like psychic damage is being waged, or is like psychic warfare is being waged on the Mavericks right now. And so like a spiritual matter requires a spiritual fix. Like they needed a kind of cleansing of some kind.
Yeah, I think the main problem is that they didn't just kill him. You know, like I think that would have turned this season around. But it did. No, I do think, like, to your point, Patrick, like it is kind of like obviously what he did was obscene, and I do think like we're going to talk about this. Like it's just so crazy, and also this feels so inadequate. It doesn't fix what happened, and also doesn't get them any closer to where they want to be. It's kind of like. I have a little theory I'm workshopping here where Cooper Flag was to this Mavericks team what AI is to the U.S. economy. You know what I mean? Where it's like
I see this, yeah.
His shooting numbers aren't great, and they're like, fuck, we gotta like sell our stake in Nvidia and then just like fire Nico Harrison. Like I think that this doesn't look like this if you know, it is a very coachy firing, right? Like if they're 8-3 instead of 3-8, he has his job. Right. Even though nothing that he did changes.
The AI analogy is perfect. It's like the Mavs are like riven with all these contradictions, and you look at them and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. In the same way that Nvidia is like approximately 73% of US GDP or whatever. But then you're like, but like it could work. Like
exactly. It's like
they do have the
like,
guy.
Derek Lively having 6 fingers like helps defensively.
Who's the what's the sort of like US hard tech SpaceX Palantir Gundo? Like is that Kyrie being like maybe he actually is a real enough hooper that he could save all of this in a way that like actually makes sense? Like it's not vaporware.
He is there. He is the technology, and D'Angelo Russell is the mouthpiece. You know, Mark Andreessen is D'Angelo Russell, and A16Z's like a private military is Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, and like Max Christie is like when the AI bubble goes boom, and then you have to convert all the server space into like just real estate investments. Yeah. Like he's kind of like the hedge against a disastrous future.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did you know the Sparks practice facility is actually heated by a Bitcoin mining operation? Like, fuck.
Someone, Sean Kuhn, our business guy, pointed out that Patrick Dumont looks so much like Ben Smith. And I really can't unsee that now. And now I'm like, what if the Mavs literally just hired Ben Smith? I think that would be a really funny way to
I did not know what this guy looked like.
SEMA 4-out offense. Yes.
Dumont is is an interesting character in all of this. And like, obviously we've talked about, and I think we should maybe talk about a little more, the like Vegas conspiracizing and like, this is maybe a time to kind of like not put to bed, but like address why this trade is the subject of like so many conspiracies and like why they like all kind of make sense. And maybe even if they're not like true in the like technical sense, like what it means that they hold such like spiritual truth. Like, I don't know. How does that feel?
No, I one of the things about like what makes a conspiracy compelling for me, interrogating real or conspiracies I agree with and believe have some valid point or ones that I don't, is that you get to like dive into a world of characters and people that you didn't know existed, and all of a sudden you get to like cram all this information about them, and they are unseemly. And so the Dumonts, and maybe they are not unseemly in the specific manner of, you know, like QAnon is the perfect example where like it is a spiritually correct conspiracy, but nobody's actually eating children. The Dumont one is funny too, because you dive into the Adelsons and you dive into the this guy barely knew about basketball, and there's this weird Nike thing, and we're all loosely aware that Nike has this outsized influence on everything, and all of that is again narratively compelling and a helpful way to like sort through these larger ideas of how, you know, power moves in the NBA. But then you get, and we were talking about a little bit of this, you get, I think, this relief, at least for me, where you actually get this like screeching halt where the dumbassness becomes apparent. And it's like, oh no, like they're not, the only conspiracy is that these guys fucking knew what they were doing. Yeah. And like that's the part. So I do think, I guess in short, I think the reason they were so fun to dive into is because there's a lot of smoke there. Like the Dumonts are fucking weird, and the casinos are murky, and they've got the Adelsons have poured in billions of dollars to Israel, like, and Trump. You know, it's unseemly.
Yeah, I also like, honestly, like, not, this is actually an organic plug, Patrick, but like listening to your new show has been guiding my thinking in this a little bit, because I feel like at least thus far, like both. I mean, you wouldn't call it a conspiracy show, but both like scandals you've addressed, I feel like you've ultimately come out on the side of there's smoke here, but probably not outright fire. And one of the things that makes you kind of like get out of your conspiracy brain a little bit is just negotiating in your head like the level of cover up that would be required to like pull something like this off. I think it's like a good grounding impulse that I have been kind of like shock therapying myself with, because I've had a tough start to the NBA season. Like I've had like multiple like manic episodes watching VJ Edgecombe and Dylan Harper and Cooper Flagg, even though it's, you know, hasn't been like brilliant to start. Like I, as a fan of not one but two teams in the trenches, have been like seriously shaking my fist at God a little bit and trying to talk myself off the ledge. I don't think there was a conspiracy here. I think like what's more interesting though is like what pushes people to conspiracize in this instance. And we might talk about this with the Pels too, but like one of the big driving forces towards this whole like Mavs conspiracy was there's this like vague sense that the league wants to help the Lakers, and whatever, you can ascribe to that or you don't. I kind of view the Lakers as none of my business. It's like a West Coast thing, but
that's for Thomas Pynchon.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, that's Adipomas's problem, not me. But on the Dallas side, right? Like you see this with Dallas, you see this with New Orleans, again, not to get ahead of ourselves, but when GMs make inexplicable decisions, there's this impulse to say that the league had expansion talks shut down, and the GMs are serving as like inside plants to whether it's drum up support for a casino or drum down fan support so you can create a condition of apathy so that a team can be easily moved. And I think I don't believe those either, frankly, but I understand the impulse, because I think what you see with people conspiracizing there is them in real time negotiating how little control they have over something they care so much about. Because even like the notion that a team would make itself shitty so that it could be sold or so that it could move, it misaligns the economics completely, right? But also it presupposes that what you think about the team is going to have any bearing on what happens, right? Like if the team's going to move, it's going to fucking move. They don't need to occupy the gutter for 10 years to make you forget about them and then they move. The team's either there or it isn't, and whether or not the team is there is kind of governed by the same decision makers who decide whether or not the team's going to be good or not, right? And
Exactly.
so this GM owner conspiracizing is interesting because it has people thinking critically in a sense. But what they're really doing, I think, is like grieving in real time the fact that not only are you rooting for a bunch of people who you have no control over, but at least they're doing something beautiful. Like basketball is a beautiful thing. The GMs and owners are just fucking there, right? And like you don't root for them. They don't necessarily deserve to be where they are, and you have no say over what they're doing. And so that's what's interesting to me, you know?
Yeah, it's like the conspiracists can like grapple with like they can almost come to the correct point that this is rigged, but it's like rigged for the owners by the owners. Like the point is not that like the Lakers are going to make money and the Mavericks are going to, it's that like they will succeed no matter what. It's that like the Lakers will be sold for $10 billion. Doesn't really matter what happens here. Like the Mavs are going to get some form of new arena or some form of relocation, and like they will be able to profit in some way, like regardless of whether or not this happens. And that's like not a fun place to arrive at, but I think it is like ultimately true, you know?
Yeah.
And I will say, you know, it's not, I don't want to, whatever, like you don't want to root for somebody to lose their job, even if they were bad at it, even if they're making lots of money, and Nico Harrison will be fine.
We do have to support President Trump.
Right. We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a little bit of, I think the reason, at least one of the things when we were all texting about this, we were talking about how this is such a relief and a win for consensus reality, because this inexplicable thing happened, this trade, and a lot of times recently, it is felt like when inexplicable things happen, what trickles out afterwards is that actually we were perceiving reality not in the way that other people were. Either we were too myopic, or we're not understanding all the other things, or, you know, we were listening to too much Pod Save America or whatever it may be. And that we have to like on the fly do this like grading reevaluation of our own like quote unquote first principles. It was lovely to have it revealed to me that it was just a dumb guy who made a bad fucking trade and traded away this great Slovenian menace and got fired because everybody was fucking pissed at him. Like, I'm like, that is how I've needed to like push that lizard brain part of me aside. And I am glad to take him for a walk again.
I love the idea of like after the trade, there's like 30 different New York Times interviews with like Anthony Davis fans in Iowa. Being like, you know, I just don't like how that Luka plays. Like,
And then a few years later, there's the follow up where they were like, they supported Anthony Davis, and now Mavs ticket tariffs have left them like unable to watch the FanDuel Sports Network tariffs have left them unable to watch the league they used to love.
Yeah. Or like the like Harden, AD, Shea fans, like
yeah, the Wizards are having a hillbilly elegy night at the Smoothie King Center or whatever the fuck.
To refute what we all just said, the Nicholas Dickinson crisis actor Patrick Dumont thing is so funny.
Can you give a background? Because I
got paywalled there, so I actually do need like the full lore.
Okay, so
perfect.
Last night, a young teenager in a Luka Doncic Lakers 77, allegedly 18-year-old named Nicholas Dickinson I think he had like very, very low seats, and he sat down next to Patrick Dumont, and it's like, okay, the owner is talking to a guy in a Luka jersey. Like, what's up with that?
A Lakers Luka jersey.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, I should clarify. A Lakers Luka jersey.
Yes.
And then Dumont was like talking about it after, and he said, or Dickinson actually talked about what Dumont said. He talked to some reporters and he said, quote, basically, Patrick was like, he feels horrible for the trade and he wants to make it up to us. That's basically what he said. He accepted my apology for it as well, which is so funny. And that came out like this morning. And then basically an hour later, Mark Stein hilariously kind of half reported that like, he was like, exactly what he said was Nico Harrison's exit from the Mavericks as GM after 4+ seasons is regarded as imminent and could happen as soon as today. So it's a sort of classic, like
a Frank Ocean album release.
Yeah.
We have to wait for Shams to, in another win for Consensus Reality, report it.
The other thing I just want to add is the thing that, because then I think afterwards, over in the last couple hours, again, this is a developing story, the Athletic went back and talked to Nicholas Dickinson, and in the first, in an early game, maybe the first game, I believe, in a blowout to the Spurs, that was the first game. Dickinson, who was sitting there, flipped off Patrick Dumont and was like, "Fuck you," and then his dad was like, you need to apologize to Patrick Dumont for flipping him off.
Yeah, it does say parental reflection.
And that is what he was going over in the Doncic jersey to say, hey man, like I'm sorry that I flipped you off when the Spurs beat us by 100 a month ago. So
he did like the real life Reddit thing where it's like, Luka fan here, just want to say like
Shams also, I just want to note that in Shams's follow-up tweet reporting, interestingly, not that like Nico was fired, but that like at 10 a.m. Central Time, specifying the time zone he will be fired. Self-quote tweet here. The Mavericks are firing Harrison 9 months after the jarring and stunning, redundant, Luka Doncic trade, a move for which Dumont took accountability and accepted as a mistake in a courtside interaction with a fan on Monday night. So it's so funny that he has like, even Shams has to be like, it's my boy Nick. Like,
this
he's a part of this story.
And we all agree that Nicholas Dickinson is a patsy and a crisis actor.
Yeah, I'm literally Googling Nicholas Dickinson fair play for Cuba committee.
I'm actually going to use through my proxy organizations. I'm going to try to get him a ticket to Sacramento.
And
see if we can get a Fox Spurs jersey. I just need to know the size. Like, let's get him out there.
He becomes like the Marlins man for like
the Marlins man. I'm just maybe too much, but the Marlins man mixed with like Elliot Rodgers.
This kid I found his Instagram. He is SMU 2029. So he's what, like a freshman in college?
Yeah, he's 18. Yeah.
That's like really a consequential deed to have committed before like sophomore year.
Yeah.
He should do a little strength training. I think our boy Michael Santola could hook him up.
Yeah. If you need to get buff now that you're sort of a meme.
The last thing here is the Dumont open letter, which is very funny.
Oh yeah.
Where he doesn't say Luka's name, and also like he's in this funny position too here because it's like they're firing the architect of like the team that currently exists. So you have like AD who came into the season out of shape and is like, theoretically the return, like the argument for why this trade is good, but like that the Mavericks are admitting it was ass and they can't say it was ass because they still owe him $174 million. And like just the awkward position that it must, like the Mavericks must all know, like all the players must know, like, man, we're fucked. This is so stupid.
Oh,
and like,
yeah.
We look like dumbasses now.
I do love like, it's kind of like, how the Dalai Lama is like an inheritable title. Like there's always one fat star on the Mavs. Like AD has put on like 75 pounds. Something I really appreciate about this open letter is that it has like, I think because of can't get into the specifics like you were saying, Patrick, because everyone is still there. It kind of has the wording of like when someone said something racist.
1,000%.
Yeah.
It is
thank
a
you
notes
for
app.
your support. Thank you for holding us accountable. And thank you for your passion and your patience. Like it truly is maybe anti-Semitic, maybe not racist, but like it really does feel like he got caught on a hot mic.
He's listening and learning.
It is such a kind of like woke one era I canceled Notes app apology.
Yes, it's very like America isn't the greatest country in the world, but it can be. You know, it's like
Again, consensus reality.
yeah,
Reemerging.
exactly.
Also, Mavericks fans, if you're listening to this, you have the chance to do the funniest thing possible, and all the Fire Nico chants, just turn them into sell the team chants. And Dumont will feel like, God damn it, I gave these people everything you can make the owner feel like a real piece of shit. Like you have a very small window of opportunity, but I advise you to take it.
I did have one other thing I wanted to say, which is so much of the discussion around Flag to the Mavericks was around, oh my God, he saved the Mavericks, or he saved Nico Harris's job, or whatever. And very little has been had about what is often a conversation around rookies, especially high-profile rookies, is like, what a possibly catastrophic place for him to land. At the very least, psychologically. Like, this is going to be a, like, black pilling inflection incident for Flag. Like, I could see a scenario where Flag's on, like, he's like a 10-time All-Star with 7 different teams, and he's like, dude, I just don't trust anybody. Like, when I was 18, you know, I was in this incredibly chaotic situation in this formative time in my development. Like, it's very strange for him to be drafted into this shit show. I can't think of another shit show that a high profile rookie was drafted into like this.
He's basically borne the brunt. He's like he's the intergenerational trauma of like the Kobe Nike sneaker wars is now rolled down, and unfortunately, Cooper is the one paying for it. Like, it's so crazy to win the lottery and like pick number one for like a consensus like super elite basketball prospect, and then lose your job 11 games later. Like that would feel insane. If you're Cooper, that must feel crazy. Like he gave this press conference, I think 4 losses ago or something, where he was like, I never lost this much in my life. Like this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of not even his team. He's like playing with these 2 unks, and he has to play point guard despite like never doing that in his basketball career. Like I think he can turn it around. Like he was very good against the Bucks last night. Like he clearly is like talented enough, but you're so right, Harry. Like the first place you land like matters a lot.
Oh yeah. Also, like, I think the only thing that can save him right now, the only thing that saved him so far is that he's not hanging out with Kyrie. And they need to go full rebuild and get rid of Kyrie, if for no other reason than to keep his kind of like galaxy brain philosophizing away from Cooper, who's going to be like looking for spiritual answers very soon. Like we could see something really crazy.
Yeah.
Kyrie and Cooper sort of like joining forces is the real thing the establishment fears.
Yeah, I got your back, brother.
Anyway.
Wait, speaking of rebuilding, I watched some of Nets Pacers last week, kind of on accident, and the only real thought I was like able to form before I had to yeet out of there is like, is Michael Porter Jr. also doing the Jaylen Brown hairspray thing?
Oh, it's
Dude,
interesting.
he's doing something like crazier because it looks too real for me to be hairspray. It's either like something legitimately glued on, or he's just doing like the most intense like mousse gel downward situation I've ever seen in my life. The hair is fucking crazy right now. He kind of has like the Caesar cut. It's almost like his like unked adaptation of the Bussin haircut.
Yeah.
But like he doesn't have the hair volume anymore, and so he's like going down. But it's fucking astonishing what's going on with his hair right now.
I really like that idea of like, because the thing that I've been thinking about, or the framework that I've been using to understand Michael Porter Jr.'s hair is this
good sentence, by the way.
It's something that like keeps me up at night.
Just ontologically speaking.
Yeah.
It is that you know, when you are in video games, you design a character, and there's all these like different things that you can switch in and out. My sense is that there are 2 sliders for his hair, but one of them is locked in place. Like he always has the same fade that leads usually into a Bussin style situation, but then has done a tremendous amount of experimenting with just hair that is like missable with this bottom fade.
Yeah, it's like the breadth is steady, but the depth is modular.
Exactly.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
But
I'm looking through like just pictures of his hair right now, and if you haven't seen his hair, like you really should, and you should make a point to do like in game, because it's not the same when it's not in game. Like there's something occurring right now that even his headshot for the Nets doesn't capture. But as I'm scrolling through, I keep seeing all the pictures of him in like the wife beater on the podcast circuit.
Of course.
And I do think the same way the NBA has like city jersey editions, they should make an exception and allow him to play in the podcast wife beater.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like kind of like the same way soccer goalies wear a different jersey. It's like the free thinker jersey.
Dude, that is just straight up a good idea. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do that maybe for Christmas or something. I mean, as anyway,
Can I just ask a very basic question about the Nets?
Yeah.
What does it feel like to watch them play basketball?
Okay, it's really, and I don't want to foreclose the possibility of talking more about Nico, but just I got to get some shit off my chest.
Please.
It's really, really dispiriting right now because one, they're bad, like they just are bad, but two, you're not really feeling the joy of a traditionally tanking team where you're like watching your guys develop and
the Wizards, for example.
Exactly. We don't have a Kaishan George. The Nets roster right now with they've been saved a little bit on this front by the injury to Cam Thomas, and maybe we'll talk about that too. But what's currently happening in Nets games is they're doing like an even more busted version of the Mavs, where they're just throwing out a bunch of giants. And there is exactly one offensive action. It is Michael Porter Jr. kind of coming over to the top of the key and just launching a contested three, which is not actually the substance of my complaints. I actually find it really fun. And watching Michael Porter Jr. play offense has been like one of the few straws we can grasp at, as like it is, it doesn't correlate to winning, but I'm not really interested in winning right now. That is kind of fun. The rookies basically don't play because they are like to a man, and with one exception, just fucking ass. Like the rookies are really bad. Of the five, Traore's already just not an NBA player. Not yet. Like he's DOA. It's just not. It's not happening with him. He is like 135 pounds. He's like a before picture, and he can't jump. He can't do anything. He's just fast. That's it. The rest of them, I mean, they've got Gilman, who is their like number one pick. Controversial, but I think kind of the game was gone a little bit when they got the 8th pick. Like it was less that they overtly fumbled, although I do think they reached, and more just they got screwed by the lottery. He's kind of what I watch for, because he's like the guy who I can at least extrapolate the best possible future for. But he plays about 8 minutes a game. He's vying for minutes with like just afterthoughts, like Man and fucking Tyrese Martin and like all these guys. And then Drake Powell's been relatively interesting. He actually looks like his game against the Knicks, like he looks like he might actually be good. Like he was kind of buried as a 3-and-D guy at Carolina, but like he's got decent feel. He has pretty good vision. I don't think he's going to be able to stay healthy. Like he kind of looks like Bambi on ice, and his like he gets hurt every game, but by and large, it's like a really blackpilling experience where you watch the Nets get the shit kicked out of them. The rookies play for 4 minutes. They're gone before you even have something to clip on Twitter. And then they're down 30 at halftime. They do the fake comeback because the other team's given up, and they lose by 5. Like it's more or less the script.
How is the every time I think about the Nets, I think about this 3-word phrase that you didn't say first, but like have definitely put into my head, which is Israeli D'Angelo Russell. How has the Ben Saraf experience been so far?
It has been legitimately hilarious. So the Ben Saraf one, I think I said this on Twitter, so I apologize for repeating myself, but it just was a good comp. Like he actually is the Israeli D'Angelo Russell. It's like D'Angelo Russell, but like kind of made out of AI. Mm-hmm. Like D'Angelo Russell doing like yoga for the hostages or whatever. Saraf was the only rookie who actually got burned to start the year.
Yeah, he started the first few games, right?
Yeah, he started. They played him at point guard. He just like can't really do shit. Like he is a horrific jump shooter. He's got like the flourish for a crafty pass that like D'Angelo Russell has, where like the craft doesn't really like add any functionality to the pass, but it like looks kind of cool. It's like a really broke version of like LaMelo Ball. But he can't really get by anyone either. So he's already in the G League. Like he's gone. He might be able to be a backup point guard one day, but like his ceiling is not encouraging, and fans fucking hate him.
I just looked up Ben Saraf's basketball reference, and he is shooting. His total attempts this season 3 for 13 from both 3 and 2, which is very funny.
Yeah, no, it's the case with Dillman too. He's trying to like kind of grow a little bit, but they don't fucking shoot. And I think that's what's really frustrating about watching the Nets right now is they've got, I think, a talented head coach in Fernandez, but one who like kind of has missed the memo a little bit about what the goals of this season are. So he is, whether this is public appearances or whether he genuinely believes this, he kind of seems to be deluding himself into thinking that they can compete and that the road to competition or being competitive is playing vets. And so what you have is, rather than giving the young guys like chance to experiment and grow and fail a lot, which will both help them and also help the Nets lose, you have this just weird situation where the rookies will get like 6 minutes a game, but they're losing out to like, again, Tyrese fucking Martin, But I would say the only bright spot of the season has been Claxton looks all right. Like Claxton kind of cares again, and that might get the Nets some return when they dump him off to like a desperate team that needs a center. And the kid they drafted 2-ish years ago, Noah Clowney, has shown some flashes. I don't think they're real necessarily. I think like it's a basketball game. Like someone's got to do the scoring. I think that's probably more what it is. But he's kind of like kept me going a little bit.
Do you want to guess what Noah Clowney's field goal percentage is this year in 23 minutes a game for 10 games?
Oh, God. I would guess like 28%.
32%, yeah.
And but
that's the bright spot.
His size too.
Yeah, like, he's a big guy.
Which makes, I think, his field goal percentage even all the more obscene. Right. Because like he has like 4 layups a game.
He's close to the basket.
Yeah. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, a lot of that's threes. I'm a big Jordy guy as well. And I think actually this Nets season is this kind of a cautionary tale, because as a fan of a team that like wants to rebuild, and you can see this with like a lot of fans of teams who are like maybe stuck in the purgatory zone, maybe like kind of like their best player is like not that good or whatever, where they just like this siren call of wanting to tank, of just tear it down as if it's so easy. It's like, oh, just like look at the Spurs, look at, OKC or whatever. Like they were bad and then they got good really fast. And like that happens, but like 70% of the time you just become like the 25-26 Utah Jazz, or you become the Nets. And so like the Nets are the one, like I definitely still would like the Kings to tank, but like you are in this situation right now where, because the rookies aren't playing and you can't really make a case for any of them having like being like Steph Castle this season or whatever.
Yeah, no.
It's that that like not only will this season be bad, it's that next season will be bad unless you get like unless AJ DeBonsa is like LeBron James, which like isn't going to happen.
And not only will next season be bad, but next season, this upcoming draft is the only draft they have their own pick in again. The rest of them are mortgaged out to the Rockets because they basically traded. They got 2 of their picks back from the Rockets in exchange for like, I want to say 4 of the Suns picks. My meta take on watching the Nets right now is like, last year was the first year I ever got to watch a team that was like overtly tanking, or at least where like the lore of tanking actually had some like tangible benefit, because prior to that, the Nets have never had their own pick. They've always had to rebuild from like literally the gutter, where they're just the worst.
They had to get regular
D'Angelo
Russell.
Exactly. They had to get the genuine article. And I will say, it's when you're rooting for a team like that, there's obviously less hope, right? Like there's less of like a positive vision that one day you're going to luck into, I guess back then it's like Tatum and Brown, all those guys. But there's something to be said for rooting for your team to win, that transforms the experience of fandom so much that like I think the overriding sensation I have watching the Nets right now is like, who gives a fuck? You know, like it is. I think you lose a spiritual battle when you're being asked in any meaningful way to like root against your team. Like I think it's just kind of loser behavior, and I think it's like it really challenges the paradigm of like fandom in a way that I think at this point, you know, maybe my mind will change if they get like the Boozer son or whatever. But right now, I think I preferred the absolute darkness years where they were taking flyers on projects and sincerely making an effort to win. And you as a fan had no choice but to hope one day they made the playoffs. This is significantly darker, frankly.
The other part about this is that you are especially with Fernandez playing all these kind of tweener journeyman vets, is like what popping or what success would look like is that basically like Terrence Mann, Michael Porter Jr., Cam Thomas, and Nick Claxton rehabilitate their image as individual players enough to warrant a first round draft pick. Like
exactly.
In a trade. So and there's, you know, I go back to this because this is a bit of a brag, but it's also just my life. The last time the Warriors properly tanked, the media environment was so different. Mm-hmm. And so like when the Warriors were middling in my childhood, I didn't know about lottery odds. I just was like, oh, Jared Jack's good. I didn't realize that Jared Jack like was costing us a draft pick. And I can't tell if like just like the cat is out of the bag and so you might as well continue to lean into that meta, or if you guys just threw out 5 rookies, which I do think you guys will eventually do.
I do
after
too.
The draft trade deadline. I mean,
yeah,
but is like would at least be, again, like these rookies are yours, so their success, even if it is only ceremonial or doesn't lead to an actual win, is at least you as a Brooklyn Nets fan's success. You're rowing in the same direction. Nick Claxton is barely a Brooklyn Net right now.
No, he's like a fucking like he is someone who I as a Nets fan have like a poly market option on. You know what I mean? Like, it's like rooting for Kalshi. It really is. And like, I think that is what is ultimately so depressing, is like, I have no investment whatsoever in these guys beyond the possibility that they get me, like, let's be honest, a second.
Right.
And as a Nets fan, your faith even in that endeavor is so undermined by watching who they actually draft that like the idea of just like a first doesn't do anything for me anymore. So we're gonna get like the Israeli Jokic or whatever.
And now you have him, but yeah.
Yeah. But I think like the final point I would make on that is like, I joke a lot because I think he's a fascinating character, and it's just kind of hilarious that I have been asked to root in some fashion for Michael Porter Jr. But like, I cannot emphasize enough, if this was 2016 or whatever, how much I would have loved rooting for Michael Porter Jr. even on a dog shit team.
Right.
Like, I think I loved rooting for D'Angelo Russell. Like, I think my perspective would have been like, this guy's got something, and who knows, maybe he becomes an all-star on his own accord, and maybe he's a foundational piece, and we're in a big market. Like, versus looking at him as this fungible asset who's just jockeying up shots. Like, there is legitimately no investment in the guys you're rooting for. And so, it's kind of a flip side of the like, what are fans actually rooting for? It feels increasingly like I'm rooting for a fucking piece of laundry, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's not fun to have to think about all of your players and these like asset, like bad contract, good contract terms. But like even then, it's just like it's not fun to even have that vocabulary. Like we should all be young Harry Krinsky being like Jared Jack's a bucket. Like that's the Edenic way to be. But like I do have to ask, because I have this like perverse attachment to the great tank commanders of my youth.
Yes.
Like Jason Thompson, Sacramento Kings legend. The Cam Thomas experience. Every time I see a clip with like the words Cam Thomas in it, I will pause everything, watch it, turn on sound, put the good headphones on, because like something like did you see the one of him trying to box out, like 2 minutes of just him standing perfectly still as like point guard after point guard just runs around him and grabs a rebound? It's so good.
Amazing. So Cam, I have a little bit of Cam Thomas fatigue only from a discursive standpoint, because I think like basically what being a Nets fan has entailed for the last however many years since kind of the big three broke up was this just nonstop civil war that in some way, shape, or form revolves around Cam Thomas. Like at first it was kind of, there was this like proto ball don't stop faction that was like Cam Thomas is a Hooper political prisoner who needs to be like freed from the calculator rat Jacques Vaughn or whatever, whoever the coach was at that point in time who was seen as like maligning Cam Thomas. I think now the meta in Nets fandom is there's one faction that thinks that Cam is kind of like a Rorschach test in a lot of ways. I think like the numbers bear out that he is just not a winning player. I think the numbers also show that he could, if he accepted his role and was paired with a strong defensive guard, could be a pretty popping six man, because like he is legitimately one of the most outstanding scoring talents I've ever seen. He just can't play defense to save his fucking life, and he doesn't know how to pass the ball. But there's this war between the people who believe in him as like an SGA in hiding and those who think that he's the worst player who's ever graced the floor. And both factions approach each other with such a level of like animosity and disdain that I think is rooted in the kind of superiority complex you have to create for yourself when you root for a bad team. Like you have to have the jump on someone. You have to feel like you know where the team went wrong. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. Like you have to feel some level of insight into things that has just made him such a polarizing and toxic concept. I will say the experience of watching Cam Thomas is really fucking fun to me, because he does not jeopardize tanking if tanking's your jam. Like he actively contributes to losing games, but does it in one of the most sensational and delightful ways possible. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the shot he hit against the Spurs to like kind of mount. It was the final note of their fake comeback they had against the Spurs early in the season before, Wemby kind of took over again. And in the clip, you see Cam Thomas like in real time make 7 of the craziest decisions you've ever seen someone make on a basketball court before ending on like, it was like a spin move, crossover, step back in the wrong direction to
That's
take
like his signature move. Yeah.
Heavily contested corner 3 that of course he nailed. And it's like, if you can't appreciate the beauty in something like that, then I think you're watching the wrong sport. Like, I just think it's fun and it's also fucking hilarious. So I love Cam. I think it is bad for the Nets tanking prospects that he's injured, because I think they are a legitimately better team without him. Like, I think like as currently constituted, they're a bigger roster than many, filled with guys who like do of course have some level of pride. And like, I think they're going to sneak a few more wins than people expect. Nothing to be like playoff contenders or anything remotely in that register, but like they might end up eking out more wins than people feel comfortable with. And I don't think that'd be the case if Cam was on the floor.
Yeah, the way he moves through space, because you think about like the bucket getter Hooper guys that the ball don't stop faction like really likes. There's a certain like smoothness to a lot of them. Like yes. KD is his goat because not his goat, but like he loves KD and he loves Kobe so much because they're like very beautiful. Like they play very beautiful basketball, which is like kind of where I agree with him. But then like Cam Thomas like moves all crazy. Like
yes,
he's always spinning in the wrong direction. He's always doing like this like kind of fuck ass jittery like fake crossover thing. But like I like the idiosyncrasy of his movements.
He's like kind of fat too, which is fun. And like he moves, it's almost as if he has like an exercise band wrapped around his legs. Like his legs, his 2 knees never move more than like the width of a tightly wound resistance band apart from one another. And it creates like, he like plods across the court, kind of like a penguin. I think what's fascinating about him psychologically is like, obviously he's a remarkably talented shooter, but to your point earlier about Cooper and like how your first team matters, you have to remember that Cam Thomas comes into the league as a late first-round pick who was known basically just for his scoring, and then has 3 of the greatest offensive talents ever basically deciding you're our guy. Like Kyrie, KD, Harden all adored the kid. And I think what that does for you mentally is makes it such that you are probably the least coachable player in the league. Like he has a green light in his mind's eye that no one will ever be able to shut off, because these older guys believed in him, probably because they thought he was like entertaining because he played 5 minutes a game. But I think like that has probably warped his perception of himself past the point where he can ever be like a winning player.
I want to key in on this because the thing, this is what kind of impresses me and like itches a certain scratch about Cam, but also repels me. Is like it really does remind me of, like, I was near McCarran Park the other day, and I saw a gentleman set up a tripod on the corner, pointed at himself, and do about 10 minutes of short form video content to nobody alone in the corner of McCarran Park, right outside of Ray's Bar in New York. And I just was like, the ability to go somewhere in your mind where you can do something so public and so disagreeable, like so you can break the social contract in such a way that is like almost is so powerful because it makes you reevaluate the social contract. Like, you know, the streamer is not killing anybody. He is just like breaking it in this crazy, crazy way,
Yes.
and rewriting a new social contract in real time. That is how I feel watching Cam Thomas hoop.
Yes, he's basically a Conor O'Malley character. You know what I mean? Like screaming hell yeah pimp at his coach as he jacks up like 9 straight contested, like Kevin Garnett style 2-pointers that are like foot on the line threes. It's a fascinating point.
I saw him. Oh God, this is a while ago, so I'm going to get the specifics wrong, but I saw him take and miss like 3 fadeaway 18-footers.
Yeah.
And then one of his rookies like got beat on a defensive rotation, and he was like, what the fuck to the rookie. And it's like again, it is just like, it's creating a new social contract. It's like, it's doing something like it would be like playing with a tuna sandwich in your pocket. Like
or a ring light attached to your shoulder.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the first "What's up, y'all" hooper.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's really he's doing something special.
It's interesting, like economically too. It's what happened with him this season is fascinating. Like I feel like was the poster boy. He kind of made himself the poster boy, frankly, of this like lost cohort of guys who got a little squeezed by the CBA, like the qualifying offer guys. Like I feel like he was crashing out at Zach Lowe, you know, telling Zach Lowe to go fuck himself, like right around the time where it was like him, Giddey, Kuminga, like none of them were signed. Right. Everyone was kind of like, what's gonna happen
Grimes,
there? Yeah, Grimes. And obviously like Giddey's had a pretty hot start to the year. I have not kept tabs on Kuminga or Grimes enough to. I think Grimes is probably a bit of a mirage because it's just like a crowded backcourt over there. But Thomas takes the qualifying offer. His hamstrings hurt. It's not the same thing that's been plaguing him, but like it's not obvious for a team that's going to probably move further and further into a youth direction, like what the role is on a team that's trying to build a good culture and also, you know, compete for something in their coach's mind when he comes off this bum hamstring. Like, I wonder what Thomas's next contract looks like. I wonder what guys will learn from this. I think he is kind of like sui generis in that like not many guys have his glaring weaknesses against his obvious strengths. Like he is not really a test case for many people, but like, I don't know. I'm going to be curious to see if he's just like a complete casualty to the NBA's vanishing middle class type dialogue, you know, like.
Yeah. I now that you said that, I'm imagining like the ideal career for him as he gets paid, like decent market salary, like above $10 million, to just be this like wandering Ronin style tank commander, where it's like, you're the Sacramento Kings. You just traded Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine. Like, Cam Thomas, get your ass over here. We got 30 shots for you. And then he helps the Kings get a draft pick. And then they're like, thank you so much. Like, salute. We're sending you on your way. Like, Orlando Magic, come on down. Like, Adam Silver, if you're listening, the league should be fixed, and you should assign like some lucky team. If you're like the Nets or something and you finish 8th in the lottery, you should be assigned Cam Thomas as like a compensatory, like your fans. You got to have someone take these shots. Like,
yes,
we'll help you. We're not going to rig the lottery for you, but we will make it so that you can give yourself the best chance.
He's like a Bain CEO that comes in to like restructure the company. Like Cam Thomas shows up and you know, you get fired. I like that idea. I like that idea
it's like
a lot, actually.
The critique you see of a lot of things where people are like, oh, this is like a AI style, whatever. But like, no. Cam Thomas is like all flesh and blood, baby. He's like anti-AI. He's like, he's his flaws and his strengths, like you said, could like, are so human. And that's like such a reason to root for him.
Are any of you guys watching Pluribus?
I watched the first episode.
It's Cam is like one of the 9 guys remaining. Like everybody else is like perfectly figured out the like triangle offense, and Cam is just like, give me the fucking ball.
But Cam wouldn't know because he wouldn't call the number on the screen. He'd just be like, he'd be like, I'm not, fuck you in the consensus. Yeah, that's right. Zach Lowe is the guy speaking to him on the screen.
Yeah.
And maybe Cam was slightly ahead of his time in the Zach Washed discourse, which you're seeing. I'm not going to really go that far, but you're hearing rumbles, so he might be vindicated.
Let's talk about we were going to talk about Derek Queen a little bit. There's really only he's good, but let's skip this because we're almost at the end, and I want to get to a segment I'm very excited for.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
I think I'm ready to just, even though this is the first time we're doing it, dub it a recurring segment, which is anytime the Kings play within a couple of days that Jay Caspian King writes an article about basketball, we are establishing King's Corner, which will be just a nice little bit of Kings, a little bit of King.
I think you should also keep open the possibility for like those false flaggy no Kings protests.
Oh, that could be King. That could be King's Corner as well. Yeah,
no Kangs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a lot of good ideas, including that one. Yeah.
So let's start with the Kings. Well, the irony is like the Kings are the Kangs right now. So let's start with the basketball team, the Kangs. Patrick, you were at the game with friend of the pod, Eamon Whalen, yesterday. A very funny lead. To Defector for Defector Day, which everybody should go read. But you came down pretty hard on the Kings. Seems like the Kings are there's not a lot of cheeriness in the kind of treadmill of mediocrity, as it were, that the Kings are on right now. What was it like being in the arena? What kind of revelations did you have?
First of all, I just want to shout out myself here because after watching them play one preseason game with Russell Westbrook, I was like contemplating basically writing this exact blog where it's like, the Kings have assembled maybe the most like regressive possible roster in the NBA, where it's like they kind of built the team out of like Cam Thomas essentially, but like the most accomplished possible sort of like mirrored versions of him. But I thought, there's like a 10% chance through the sheer force of real hoops, like DeRozan and LaVine and Sabonis will just kind of like back them into enough offensively like 136, 131 wins that they will like sort of win enough on accident that like, while their tank direction should be obvious, it's like they're winning enough that like management is not going to credibly pull that plug. And then I've like made the mistake of watching the team play on purpose. It's fucking crazy. Like 3 years ago, it's like worth recalling. Like it was so recently that they were like on the cutting edge of the NBA, and like the stuff that Mike Brown was doing like certainly enabled by the speed of De'Aaron Fox, where it's like playing half court offense at the speed of transition offense. Like literally every team does that. Like you look at like why the Magic and the Clippers are bad this year. It's because they have not thoroughly Mike Brownified. And then it's like so wild to see that exact team within 3 years and like a lot of the same personnel, just like unlearn all those lessons and just bad decision after bad decision, get to this point where they have between 2 and 4 shooting guards on the floor at any given time. They're hard committed to Sabonis, who can't shoot threes or protect the rim. And it's like, that's not a max player in this NBA. I'm so sorry. And Doug Christie is on, I think, a $2 million coaching contract, which is like so far below market value because the owners are, or Vivek, the owner, is like a broke boy who's still paying Mike Brown. And like, basically what that has all come together to do is create this like profound anti-basketball team. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Golden One. It's like an amazing arena. The energy in there is like usually incredible. And like, it's the only team in town. So Kings fans tend to be extremely like frenetic and dedicated. But like Eamon and I noticed that early in the fourth quarter, it was like getting cold because so many people were leaving that the doors were just opening and closing over and over again. And like the people around me were just in this daze. Like they didn't really know whether to like clap for like Zach LaVine hitting a huge 3 to cut the lead 24, or just sort of like people were basically openly cheering for Ant to do cool stuff. And I was like 100% with them. And like you said, it's like, I'll stop monologuing in a second, but you take psychic damage when you watch a team and you want them to lose, but then being there for the in-person experience where you can just tell that like the whole crowd feels like disgusted by what they're seeing on the court. The Wolves are like not even necessarily having that good of a game, but they're just scoring 144 points for free. And you just think like, do the people in charge, are they like seeing the same thing I am? It makes you feel schizophrenic because you think like, owners, GMs, whatever, like they watch the NBA. They're smarter than you. They're more well-informed. Like you can do the pocket GM thing, but then if you actually like think about it hard, you're like, okay, these people clearly are like, I couldn't do the job. Like they know more, but then you watch them build this evil team and just do the same stupid shit. And it gets to the point where the fans have to cheer for a role player to like, they're like saying Keon Ellis because he's the only one who can play defense. And you just think like, what are we doing here? Like, how did we get to this place? It felt bad.
There is something beautiful about if the Nets are a team, a catastrophe that could be only created by the victory of calculator rats and the kind of GM brain. Like this is a beautifully man-made catastrophe. Only a human could put this roster together.
Haven't read all the piece yet because I found out about it like 5 minutes before we went on air, but one thing that I think a lot about the Kings is like they're kind of the perfect like government shutdown team. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of like the experience you have when you go to the airport on like day 39 of the government shutdown, and the only people still there are just like the real Hooper furloughed employees who haven't been paid in 2 cycles. And it's just like TSA isn't really working, but like you still do have to do the things. And you're like, I understand that this does work in the abstract and has worked before. And had I been here 2 months ago, it would have worked quite smoothly. But now I'm scared that my plane's going to crash. You know, like that is, the Kings are a team of the moment in that way. And that like, it's a cast of characters you know, you might not love, but you recognize them all very well. And just none of it works. Like they are so contradictory. They're so nihilistic, I would say. It's pretty fucking depressing.
There's one thing. There's a funny thing here, like when Gavin Newsom eventually runs for president against JD Vance. Like I could totally see like a Vance dig of like, look at the roster, this failed California state assembled.
They took our once great American talent and turned it into trash. My favorite
Westbrook's
subplot
on fentanyl.
Well, okay, I'm glad you brought up Russ because my favorite subplot of the season is that Russ has like maybe been the Kings' best player. Most of this is like just totally bullshit, unsustainable, like 47% from 3 shooting stuff. But like by virtue of like running and like jumping and like trying hard, he distinguishes himself. But like I was not aware, but should have been aware that Russ has like shooters. There are millions of Russ
Yeah.
stands with Why Not in the bio. And seeing them encounter the Kings has been so funny because they're very justifiably like, damn, bitch, like you live like this? Like, and I'm a Russ fan. Like I have always liked Russ, but like they're like the last surviving Japanese World War II soldier still fighting the Russ as an all-star battle. But like, and they're like wrong about like almost everything, except in this one case, it's like, you kind of got to hand it to him.
Yeah. If Russell Westbrook is like, I mean, if Cam Thomas is like the guy every team deserves for the tank, Russell Westbrook is like when you give a steak dinner to the Rottweiler you're about to put down. You know what I mean? Like you get 3 months of Russell Westbrook before you pull the plug, and it's just like, yeah, you know, you don't get this every day. I think that's more or less what he is at this point in time.
That's perfect. Yeah, and like the Kings have there's this really uncanny feeling when you watch them, where you will watch them play for several quarters and think like they're kind of not even playing that bad. And then you look at the score and you're like, how were they down 20? And it's kind of just that like they're playing yesterday's hoops, you know,
Right.
They're like playing this regressive hooper stuff. They're doing so with yesterday's stars. That's like 2 strikes. But then like the 2 lead on ball guys have like played together and failed in the Eastern Conference like 3 years ago. And so it's like, you can't even construct a sort of rational case for the theory of the team, which is like, that's the thing that makes me feel like such a doomer about this is like, there really is no way. Like you can make the argument for sort of a good outcome for almost any team in the league, like things hitting right. Like the only good thing that could happen is if this all blows up and goes to shit. And I'm not really sure anyone has, I don't want to say this, but trade value. And like, it just like, it all just feels kind of scummy. But the bright side is I've watched more like Spurs and other cool teams than I have in a while. So it's, you know, 1,000 flowers are blooming.
So I had before we move on to J King, I wanted to put forth this theory about Vivek Ranadiyev because we got to do a whole Vivek miniseries at some point. He
Amazing man.
He's got it. You forget so many things about him just even reading. I forgot that he believes that the Grantland documentary made about him in 2014 is like doctored. He is like they edited it to make it seem like I liked Nick Stauskas who I actually liked was Elfrid Payton. He is like, I was made to look
so
like,
cool.
I like Nick Stauskas, but the reality was that I wanted us to drive Elfrid Payton. But I was trying to think about like what this is there a unifying theory to the bustedness of the Vivek arc? And I would like to put forth the notion that Vivek Ranadiyev has something called Steph Curry derangement syndrome. Okay. He cannot stop taking swings, and every major misstep swing, there is a like Freudian death drive style desire to reunite with 2011 Steph Curry. He was a partial owner of the Warriors from 2010 to 2013. Had to sell his stock to go buy the Kings. Immediately drafts Nick Stauskas, who he is on the record as saying, quote, shoots like Steph Curry but has size like Klay Thompson. That obviously is a disaster. A couple years later, in 2017, trades DeMarcus Cousins for a package helmed by Buddy Hield, who Vivek, this is per Bagser Holmes, Vivek thinks Buddy has Steph Curry potential. According to Bagser Holmes, that, quote, fixation was a key driver. And then the major piece in his most recent swing is Zach LaVine, who is, if anything, a copy of a Steph Curry style transcendent shooter who just is like kind of bad at everything else and also isn't Steph Curry. But he just, if you hear trade, I was going to originally call this just like shooting guard derangement syndrome, which also does work with them starting, 4.5 shooting guards. It is like he is stuck. It's like he muted the phrase positionless basketball. Like he is like there are positions still.
This theory is 100% true, and it extends to the way he's tried to build his organization. Like the first GM he hired was like the Warriors GM, like Mike Malone from the Warriors, Mike Brown from the Warriors. Like he lives in the Bay still. Like he really is he thinks that just by willing it, he can make it happen. And like the derangement syndrome there is that he just fundamentally misunderstands like what Steph Curry is. He thinks that's a guy you can recreate in the aggregate.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And like they want to get Ketamine Kuminga, like specifically because the Warriors are like one of the teams he watches. And like the Elfrid Payton anecdote is so telling because it doesn't matter whether Vivek wanted Elfrid Payton or Nick Stauskas. It's that the owner wanted someone and like had a voice to say that. Like that's the problem here.
Yeah.
Totally.
Enough people have tagged him and the GM in response to my story that I'm like mildly worried I won't be able to get credentials again, which is like, fine. You know, that's being able to be mean is way more important than being able to eat the pregame spread. So that's a situation to monitor.
What's the spread looking like in Golden Center?
I haven't been there since the 23 playoffs, but it was decent. The Warriors have a soft serve machine, which is like halftime hits, and
sick.
Every single journalist is like, you know, running down there to get their soft serve on, myself included.
Yeah, totally. Dude, the Ohio State spread, best thing I've ever seen.
Really?
Went crazy, yeah.
What are we rocking with?
They were sponsored, I think, by McDonald's. I think they just had like fresh McDonald's in the situation. Like
they have the McDonald's that you get in like Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the non-seed oil.
Non-seed oil McDonald's, exactly.
Yeah.
Proto Maha.
McDonald's with peptides in it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's finish up with the second half of Can Corner. Jay Kaig's piece about gambling, because it's a nice button to all of this. His piece as a kind of in this beautiful rhizomatic gumbo of meta discourse that we are working with here at the Nothing But Respect podcast. His piece, at least as I interpreted it, was about how there maybe has been a bit of an overreaction to the hand wringing around gambling affecting the integrity of the game. And his point was sort of basketball has always been compromised sorry, I guess basketball is always kind of has vices associated with it or has negative stuff about it, and that like has maybe basketball fandom is unseemly in this way that like you're always kind of talking about gambling and you're always kind of talking about whatever and bad stuff that either the UAE or parlays didn't get invented 3 years ago when DraftKings sponsored the NBA, et cetera, et cetera. And that kids aren't being, that this notion that kids are getting corrupted by sports gambling is I think he says something, is basically largely a mirage of people who don't have kids or don't go to sports games, which I think is a funny idea. We had some kind of disagreed with certain elements of the piece. I'm curious where are you at on this piece?
I think I think the argument you just presented is like the best version of like what this could possibly be interpreted to be. There's a couple giveaway lines here that really rub me the wrong way. There's this idea that like he says, I don't remember the exact quote, but he's like, sports writers and the people who pay attention to sports are like committed to this like purity of the game that like all the wised up fans like actually know, because like fans either believe the games are already fixed or don't care. And like as Albert Bernico made in his point today, like tearing this article to shreds, like the people who write and are paid to care about sports are like all underwritten by gambling companies now. Like that's like this crucial truth that undermines like, I think, a very large pillar of his argument.
I think my main thing, and I have a lot of respect for Kang as a writer and a thinker. I do, if I was in his shoes, my ass is putting an umlaut in every single piece. Like if you get to write about gambling for the New Yorker, I'm finding a way to get an umlaut in there.
Gambling.
I do think like I've been trying to throw a little bit of cold water on the gambling shit myself. And so I don't disagree with the impulse. And I think I'm happy the piece exists for that reason. But I can't say I'm compelled by like how he did it, because I think that what I read this piece as was kind of like people are maybe making a bit too much out of the gambling scandals, which is something I agree with, but then more of a positive argument for the role of legalized gambling in society, which I don't reject out of hand, but I also think was relatively misleading. Like I think it took for granted the notion that people who have expressed qualms about gambling going all buddy with the NBA and other major sports leagues and sports media. I think a lot of you guys at Defector have done that really eloquently. I think it presupposes that people haven't grappled with the positives of gambling as well. And I don't think that's true, right? Like, I don't think that anyone is naive to the fact that legalized gambling is in some ways safer because it's more regulated and no one's going to break your fucking legs. And I also don't think, I don't think it's anyone's business to really worry about the tax revenue. But I think that is where I am left wanting by the piece, because I think the moral sin of gambling in sports right now is not that I am sincerely worried that, Michael Porter Jr. is betting the over on his shots or whatever. If anything, I think that would be fun.
Right.
I do have two worries that I don't think the piece addresses. One of them is that gambling is making people crazier. It is making fans crazier. It's creating an antisocial dimension to sports fandom, which at its worst could always be kind of this like exercise in mob thinking and just dehumanization towards the athletes who are actually playing. I think that is a real thing. And it's also making people schizophrenic in that every bad thing that happens now is going to be perceived as someone throwing the game. I do think that undermines trust, and I do think that it just creates a more antisocial experience and furthers like the creep of casino logic into everything we do. And the other thing is I do not buy Kang's point that legalized gambling is actually protecting people from the epidemic of gambling addiction. I think the far more compelling argument, I think you've literally written this, Patrick, if you didn't, someone else at Defector did, that I think it's completely upside down. I think what this push of gambling marketing has done is expose people with potentially latent gambling addictions to the overwhelming societal pressures to gamble, free handouts, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought that the whole stat about how it's, correlated to a rise in people Googling the hotline was not the slam dunk point that Kang perhaps presented it as, but rather is proof that it is creating addictions in people. Like it's as if saying that like when Prohibition ended, more people went to AA meetings. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like it's like yeah, because they could drink more easily.
One point that I thought was well made in Kang's piece that I hadn't thought about is this idea that I hadn't thought about, and then it became completely. I was like, oh, of course, like that's so right. It's like this idea that going to a basketball game that in the '90s was this like pure, angelic experience is so silly. Like in our lifetime, and I've actually, in a weird way, like I lament some of this being gone in the game. This notion of like vicious booing and like you fucking suck, like signs and all that stuff. Like there's a line, etc. But like I liked that part of fandom in growing up as a young man, being intrigued by the kind of display of extreme emotions at these games, and that we were like doing this thing. I mean, I think I said this on a previous pod. It's like one of the reasons that these athletes get paid a lot of money is that they are offering themselves up in a certain way for us to project onto them, onto ideas, et cetera. Blow off some steam, right? And again, I think there's a line, et cetera. You got to treat people like humans, but like that's a part of what's going on here, and to pretend it's not is silly. And then I'm curious where you'll fall on that. And so Kane kind of presents this idea of like that it's not like sports is like this angelic thing that suddenly been uplifted, and
which I totally agree with.
Yeah. The another place that I have seen the argument being made around like, oh my God, it's so lame that people are like DMing people like, you made me lose my fucking parlay, and like, screw you. And I have two thoughts about this. I again want to flag the context shifting that it used to be people were screaming at the players being like, fuck you, I hate you, you're fat or whatever, just like all this kind of stuff. And now it's moved to DMs about gambling. So it has not come out of nowhere, which is King's point. The other side, though, that goes against King is it is profoundly lame. It's just lame to be like you fucking missed my parlay. It's like, shut up, dude. Like, that sucks. Why are you DMing a grown man about your $25 parlay? Like, it's an aesthetic critique more than it's like a personal critique. I'm like,
it's just like
this
busted.
fucking, just like loser behavior.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing I would say is like, there's this part around like him in his group chat saying like, during the World Series, we were talking, there was no talk about parlays, haha. Like we were just enjoying the game. And I think that's true about high leverage games. I think and again, this gets at this point of like, none of us are shitting on gambling necessarily as an institution. What we are flagging, I think, is this death by a million cuts thing, where like, if all of the media is getting 0.0001% more casinoified every week, that through like a kind of set of a billion pores or like porousness, that is the creep that I'm concerned about way more than like the integrity. I totally agree about I don't think the integrity of the game is getting like damaged in this giant way. I think it's like, again, I guess a death by a million cuts.
Yeah. And like King is a friend. Like I like him. I think very highly of him as like a thinker and writer. And like I said, like there's a version of this take like that you guys are both saying that like could be very good. I just think like, I don't really see the case for this not getting worse. Like, like we've sort of talked about, like this is so many impressionable young men are getting onboarded into these like addiction mechanisms, and like the media, like the economic contradictions of the media landscape that have been papered over by the gambling companies, like those are not going to be like things are not going to improve in such a way that like their influence wanes. Like, and I think that is like sort of why I feel so like it is important to sort of set the terms for this, that this is like bad in the first place, like now before it gets worse.
I mean, Polymarket is now like integrated into Google apparently. And it's like, I think like,
let's talk about this.
And I don't mean to wax. I actually feel like I am never inclined to wax poetic about these things. Like I think sports are stupid. I love them, but I think they're stupid. And I don't participate in like this grand myth making. And I am appreciative of Kang's point of like, think of the children as silly because I have young children. But when I think of the children, I'm not worried about someone's young kids. I'm worried about like a bunch of 18-year-olds tweaking in a dorm room, watching, like literally betting on every pitch of an 18-inning game, because like those are the kids who are kind of the risk groups right now. It's not, and I wouldn't accuse him of doing equivalency here. He kind of inoculates against that, and I respect that. Like there's a lot of sordid enterprises that are wrapped up in the sports world right now, but there is, I feel like, long been this conception that sports were like a refuge from politics and society that a lot of smart thinkers and writers have pushed back against, because that tends to wash sports' hands of all these political implications. But watching the inverse kind of come true, where the broader world is being recast as this grand marketplace of sports gambling, makes the rise of sports as like the fucking patient zero for all this stuff all that much more regrettable. Like I don't like constantly being sold parlays. It just doesn't feel good. And I'm less worried about whether, a pitcher's burying a fucking 1-0 count pitch or whether Jonte Porter's bricking shots. I'm more concerned about the fact that I'm being bombarded 24/7 with this idea to get my skin in the game in some meaningful fashion.
and this is now we're not even talking about King's Peaks anymore, which is fine. It's a good launching off place. But this Polymarket thing, I think, is important because Polymarket is, and I want to do an episode about this eventually. Like Polymarket is trying to eat DraftKings.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is DraftKings is going to say, okay, we're going to try to eat Polymarket. And DraftKings is going to release a prediction market. And then
100%.
on the same app that you can fucking gamble on Shohei Ohtani home runs, you will be able to gamble about the presidential election. And you will be able to gamble on if we get out of Afghanistan or wherever the fuck.
100%.
That's coming this decade. You know, like
Yes.
This is not a far out thing, you know.
And like the thing I do really agree with Kang and Nate Duncan and all these other people who said like this is not a big deal is like I don't think there's some massive game fixing epidemic like present in the NBA or on the horizon. But you know what is incredibly fixed and that insiders can easily cash out in all the time is fucking prediction markets. Like those are the most fake bullshit thing around.
Yes. Yeah. Like our future is one in which the Shams, what was it? Was it Scoot? Was it like?
Oh yeah. The Scoot, the Hornets will take Scoot number 2.
When Shams was like basically in real time fucking with the heavily indexed, I mean, it's functionally already a prediction market, but like the NBA draft market.
Yeah.
And said that the Hornets were going to take Scoot. They go with Miller, but like the odds flip dramatically, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's just a preview into our future, right? It's the same shit as when like Kalshi was fucking with like the New York City election, all this stuff. Like Max Reed wrote such a good piece about it this week on his Substack, but like you see it in every facet of our society, just like more and more what was once news dissemination has been like boiled down into basically like little decontextualized tidbits of slop that like confirm your priors and make you want to get some skin in on the game, right? It's like Unusual Whales or a fucking Kalshi proxy account being like, Trump won't bail out AI, that like has absolutely no bearing on the world around you, but either reinforces your instinct to panic, or if you're an ideal consumer, convinces you to put some action in on like, will there be a recession in next year, trading at 37 cents or whatever the fuck. But like, it's just an antisocial, bleak outcome for society.
Yeah. And so much of that, I think that's like all super true. And this loops around to like the crypto kind of stuff, which is certainly fading, but like something that both of those two things have in common is identifying this large class of proto suckers and convincing them that they are going to be taking advantage of other suckers.
Yes.
Where it's like, that is how you draw the suckers in, is by convincing them that they are the smart ones who are in on the action.
Yeah. It's like a pyramid scheme without the fucking initiation process.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's literally just, and like, dude, it drives me crazy. It's like, there's prediction markets on like, will Ethereum hit a certain number? It's like, that is the functional equivalent of investing in the cryptocurrency, but instead you're gambling on whether or not it won't. Like, it's just, it really is the suckerification crisis. I think it was one of the best pieces Max has done in a long time. I think it's like, we're going to look back at it as like a internet level Hall of Famer.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
I don't know.
No, it's funny because I also read that piece and thought it was excellent. And like it inspired me, and freaking, hey, Warriors World Twitter account, I'm looking at you. There are all these fucking Twitter accounts that are slowly and quietly joining these weird, it's a new function of Twitter, which itself is like the fucking air we're breathing is polluted. It's this new badge you can put on your account, and all these like Kalshi and Polymarket Sports, like they're joining these networks secretly and doing unregulated smash mouth gambling. It's like, which is like just so again, we're all like, like, it sucks that I have to be the fun police. Like, I don't want to be the fun police. You know, I like having fun. It just is like, there has to be a line somewhere. But we've any final words before we get out of here, because we've been going long.
No, I think that's a good place to end it. Thanks for joining us, Ock. I thought this was great.
Of course, man. This was a blast. Love being back. This is my season 2.
Season 2, yeah.
Hopefully
feels
one
good.
with many.
Yes, definitely.
Look,
Anything
Justin-
to plug?
I think I have some stuff coming out tomorrow potentially, but I'm not going to jinx it. But we will see. Trying to get some stuff. Oh, serious call for anyone in the Nothing But Respect universe. If this is not a bit, this is not a joke. I do a lot of bits. If you know how I can get in contact with Michael Porter Jr., hit my fucking line. DM me on Twitter, email me, reach out to the Nothing But Respect boys, leave a review.
Yeah.
I will gladly take a review. Just drop a line. I'm trying to make magic happen.
Yeah. This is, again, I want to stress this, a serious inquiry.
No, this is a completely serious
It could lead to
inquiry,
something
yeah.
very good. So
Yes. I'm trying to do Frost Nixon, but about these females.
That's perfect.
All right. Well, we will talk to you all next week.